and welcome to the 7th video in a series of videos on systems thinking. My name is Bhaskaran and I'm the faculty walking you through this series. In this video and a subsequent 2 or 3 videos, we are going to be talking about how to improve your skill as a systems thinker. You have understood the basics, you understand what a system is, you understand the fact that there are interrelated interacting parts to a system, the complexity of a system, the hierarchical nature of a system, so on and so forth. I'm now going to talk about how to develop skills that you would need as a systems thinker. Now remember, any area of expertise has 3 facets to it. It has a knowledge facet, it has a skills facet, and it has an attitudinal facet. The knowledge facet is what you're learning through these videos, what you will see online, what you can read from textbooks, so on and so forth. The skills facet is what I'm going to teach you, a couple of tips, techniques, tools that you could use as a systems thinker. But attitude is what you bring to the table. You must choose to move away from analytical thinking to systems thinking if you want to get better and better at this. Any skill comes with practice, and I would urge you to practice as much as you can. So now let's try and understand how to think about a system. And this model was initially enunciated by a gentleman called Mr. Beer, and he spoke about a system that is viable, that maintains stability, and he called this the viable systems model. I'm also going to talk to you in this video about 5 levels of expertise that you as a practitioner of systems thinking can develop. So let's talk about these levels of expertise first. At the bottom is of course ignorance. You know nothing about systems thinking. I knew nothing about systems thinking a few decades back till I started understanding, learning and practicing this. So everyone starts at this level of ignorance. You move on to becoming aware about systems thinking, and that's what you're doing now by watching these videos, by reading it up on the net, reading books about it, so you understand the concepts of systems thinking. At the next level is what is called a novice, and the name is kind of a misnomer. Even at this level called novice, you are expected to have deep awareness of systems thinking. The 4th level is of course an expert, and here you create the correct simulation models. We'll talk about causal diagrams in subsequent videos, but if you are an expert, you have the ability to create these causal diagrams. The final level is that of a guru, where you can teach systems thinking and you can make original contributions to this area, to this domain of systems thinking. It takes years, of course it takes time. Any skill development takes time, takes practice. Systems thinking in that sense takes as much time as any other complex field of knowledge. But it's a journey worth taking, and I'd urge you to move all the way up to expert at least. Because as you keep practicing systems thinking on your day-to-day corporate life and personal life, you'll begin to see how beneficial it is to the way you solve problems. Let's now talk about this viable systems model and what this model can do to you as a systems thinker. This model helps you understand complex systems. It looks at a system from 5 different perspectives, and these perspectives are all recursive. That means they feed on each other and they go down into further subsystems. As I said, this was initially enunciated by Stafford Beer in 1950, and he did this to help understand how and why certain organizations are successful while others struggle. He merely called this System 1 to System 5. System 1 are the doing parts of a system. So in this example, they are the muscles and the organs of the human body. They perform the basic functions of the human body. In a technical world, you would think about the actuators being the doing part of a system. So this is System 1, the first level in the viable system model. At the examples of artifacts that belong to System 1 level, the lights of a car, lights in a room, so on and so forth. The ambient light sensors. So if I were to walk into a dark room which had a light sensor, this would automatically switch on the light. It activates the light. So it's called an actuator. Servo motors. These are actuators. Right? So whether you're moving in a wheelchair, you're moving on a motorized vehicle of any kind, they tend to have servo motors. And these create the motion of that vehicle. Water sensors. They are used very popularly to detect water level, and based on the water level, a pump is either switched on or switched off. It actuates the pump, either on or off. And so on and so forth. You go down all the way to brakes and airbags. Each of these are actuators that have a specific function. They are the doing parts of the systems to which they belong. This is level 1 in viable systems model. Let's move on to system 2, the level 2 of the viable systems model. In this level, he talks about Mr. Beer talks about what regulates and undertakes tactical planning of the doing parts. So the level 2 system controls the level 1 system. How do you decide when to switch on a motor? How do you decide when to switch on the lights in a room? How do you decide when to switch on the headlights in an automatic headlight system? This is done by the level 2 or the system 2 level at viable systems model. In the human body, this is the example. This would take on the example of a nervous system. The nervous system really regulates the functioning of all the other doing organs. The muscles are controlled by the nervous system, the digestive system is controlled by the nervous system, so on and so forth. In the technical world, you got again city management systems. You got segment controllers in steel mills. You got radio frequency amplifier controllers, RF controllers. You got table motion controllers. For an MR scanner or a CT scanner in a diagnostic lab, the patient is resting on a table and the table moves in and out of the scanner. These are the system 2 or the level 2 kind of systems in a viable system model. The third level, which is called system 3, is really doing the lower order thinking functions of the system. For example, they establish the rules, they determine the resources, and they establish the rights and responsibilities of system 1 and system 2. So each system, as you begin to see, each system builds on systems below it. So system 3 is what is called the lower order thinking functions of a system. If you were to take concrete example, algorithms that regulate the functioning of various controllers would fall under system 3. So for example, if I were to accelerate a car, the fuel injection system pumps petrol into the cylinders. The fuel injection system is therefore the doing part. What decides how much fuel is to be pumped into the engine? The accelerator position, as an example. The accelerator position is therefore system 2. And system 3 then would be the algorithm that regulates how rapidly the car can accelerate. You've constantly heard of figures like 0 to 60 kilometers per hour in under 10 seconds. This is a system 3 decision. So system 1 is the doing, system 2 is the regulating, system 3 is the lower order thinking functions. Moving on to system 4. At system 4, which is called the middle order thinking functions, the system now starts looking outwards to the environment to decide if a response is required or not. This is the first case where you have kind of defined the boundary of the system, and now you are saying, what should I do if something changes in the environment? In the case of our car, for example, if there is another car in front of us, we must now decide to slow down or to overtake or to come to a complete stop. This is a system 4 decision. So system 4 helps you understand what kind of decisions you need to take based on external environmental factors. Remember, system 4 now will help at least make decisions at system 3, system 2 and system 1 level. Let's move on to the last system, in this viable systems model. These are the higher order thinking responsibilities. These define the policies of the system. For example, if I were to again look at my automobile as an example, there could be a policy based on regulations that says I cannot exceed 50 kilometers per hour as the speed limit. I must therefore build my entire system to ensure that I have a speed regulator that will not permit me to cross this speed limit. And in fact, in many countries and many states in India, they do have such a speed regulator mechanism in place. So any policy level decision that impacts the functioning of the system as a whole should be thought of as a system 5 level decision. Policies around timings, policies around durations, around intensities, examination protocols. So for example, if you go to do a CT scan, the CT scan of a heart, the policies for taking a CT scan of a heart are different from the policy decisions for taking the CT scan of an abdomen. And these are system 5 level decisions. Why is this called the viable systems model? Primary reason, if all the 5 levels of that system are present, and remember they are all interacting, they are interrelated, they are interdependent, decisions made at one level will impact decisions made at lower levels, then you have begun to understand how to think in terms of systems. So in summary, in this video, we have discussed the 5 levels of systems thinking, moving from ignorant to guru. We have talked about the viable systems model and the model as a technique for examining, looking at systems. We talked about the 5 systems or 5 levels that the viable system model proposes. As an exercise, I would urge you here at this point to look at various systems and to think about breaking it down into these 5 levels and to see how easy or difficult it is for you to do that. Start with a simple system, a system that's in your domain that you're familiar with. Try and break it down into these 5 levels as per the viable system model. And I can almost guarantee that you will see a systemic thinking emerging from this kind of decisions that you make. I hope this gave you a flavor for one of the skills that you need as a systems thinker, the ability to look at a system from level 1 to level 5. In subsequent videos, we are going to build on this and we're going to add new skills that we require as a systems thinker. And as I started at the beginning, every skill requires immense practice. Please go out there, look at systems that you're familiar with and try and put to practice the skill that you learned through this video. Thank you very much.